Hello everyone. As we learned in the first part of this course, the step response is obtained by the sudden application of a DC source. So we have seen that suppose I have some independent voltage source, and if I have switch and if I have some kind of RLC circuit like this, and this is the resistor, this is inductor, and this is capacitor, and suppose that voltage across this capacitor I am going to denote by V, and current flowing through this circuit I after sudden application of a DC source, and this circuit is in series. We have already learned about this, and what we have found that after applying KVL I can obtain the second order differential equation. So I'm just going to write the second order differential equation, that is d2 V by dt square plus R by L dV by dt and plus V by LC, and this is Vs by LC. So we have observed that the response of this circuit, so this is V, is governed by this kind of second order differential equation. So I have second order differential equation, and in order to know the current through any element or voltage across any element, I have to solve this second order differential equation. After that, in second part of this course, we have replaced this particular voltage source and switch by some kind of forcing function, that is represented by some kind of AC, and after that again we have taken same circuit. So I am going to draw same circuit. So here I have resistor, inductor, and after that capacitor, and this is our now Vs is in form of V cos omega t, and this is resistor, inductor, and this is capacitor. So this is our capacitor, and again in order to calculate IT, what we have observed that if we are just interested in the steady state response, at that time I can apply the phasor analysis. So this general second order differential equation is converted into, after application of phasor analysis, this is converted into algebraic equation. And after that we are able to obtain the steady state response. So somehow I am compromising, and we are telling that I am not interested in the transient response, but by phasor analysis I will convert differential equation into algebraic equation, and after that I can, using Ohm's law in frequency domain, I can obtain the steady state response. The goal in this part of the lecture is to develop technique for analyzing circuit. Means I have just drawn RLC series circuit, but it might possible this may be parallel or any other connection. So based on that I have different differential equations with a wide variety of input. So up till now we have just analyzed the circuit with two different kind of input. So one input is DC input and switch, so somehow I have discontinuous forcing function, and after that we have applied sinusoidal forcing function to analyze the response of the circuit. Now our goal of this part of the lecture is to analyze circuit with a wide variety of input and output, and in order to do that, first I will follow the same step. Using KVL or KCL, I am going to model this kind of circuit by differential equation, and whatever the solution of the obtained differential equation, that I am going to interpret as the response or behavior of the circuit. So in order to do that, particularly for the solution, we now introduce the powerful method of Laplace transform, and main idea of Laplace transform is turning differential equation into algebraic equation. And again, same like phasor analysis, if I will get the algebraic equation, then it is very easy to solve that particular equation, and I can obtain the steady state as well as transient response, or you can also interpret complete response directly by using some certain kind of manipulation of the algebraic equation. So what I am going to do in this part, so first I am going to talk about mathematical modeling. So mathematical modeling means we are going to derive the differential equation in terms of voltage and current. So I have mathematical modeling means I have differential equation and modeling of circuit you can write, because here in this course I am going to deal with circuits. So using differential equation I can model it, and after that if you see the solution, so solution is nothing but the response of the circuit, and if I apply here, in case of differential equation, if I apply the Laplace transform, I will come to this transform in the later part of today's lecture. So this differential equation now going to convert into algebraic equation. And solution of this algebraic equation, that is nothing but the complete response of the circuit. Obviously we have to following certain kind of intermediate steps, so I will discuss that kind of steps in the next part of the today's lecture or in the later part of this course. So now let us try to see the idea of transformation, and so far we have understood that if I will change the domain, in previous class I was talking about the frequency domain. So using phasor, basically I am transferring the circuits into frequency domain, and again whatever algebraic solution, again I will transfer back to the time domain. And what we have found that using same Ohm's law I can analyze the large class of circuit, provided our excitation input is sinusoidal, means whatever current or voltage I am going to apply, that is either modeled as a sine wave or cosine wave, and we are compromising with the response if we are only interested in the steady state response of the circuit. But in this part of the lecture, we are not only interested in the steady state response, we are now interested in the complete response of the circuit. So due to that reason, I have to move to the different transformation, and that is nothing but the Laplace transform. So before going to the formal definition or motivation of Laplace transform, so I am going to see why we are going to explore this kind of mathematical method to analyze the circuit. So till now you have understood the idea that somehow I have to apply some kind of method which will transform the differential equation into algebraic equation, and certainly that is not the phasor transformation. I am going to talk about some different transformation or more generalized transformation, and that is the Laplace transform. And if you see the region of the use of this transform, so there the Laplace transform is significant for a number of regions. So let us try to see some kind of region. So first obvious region is it can be applied to a wide variety of input than phasor analysis. So in phasor analysis, our input should be sinusoids, but Laplace transform, using Laplace transform, I am going to relax this kind of restriction. Second important contribution of the Laplace transform, it provides an easy way to solve circuit problem involving initial conditions. So now here in this method you can take any initial condition of the circuit element. Means even if I have some kind of voltage across the initial voltage across the capacitor or some current, initial current across the inductor, it is possible to apply this kind of method, and this is because it allows us to work with algebraic equation instead of differential equation. So if differential equation is complicated and we have some information of initial condition, if initial condition is 0, all initial conditions are 0, then sometime I have some kind of a straightforward method to solve that differential equation. But if we have certain kind of initial conditions, then sometime it is difficult. Problem is not so much straightforward. But here, if you apply the Laplace transform, then due to algebraic nature of the problem after transformation, even if I have some non-zero initial condition, I can analyze the circuit or network in very straightforward way. And similarly, third significant reason to apply Laplace transform is the Laplace transform is capable of providing us in one single operation the total response or complete response, we are telling, of the circuit comprising both the natural response and force response. So we have already seen what is meaning of natural response, what is meaning of force response. Several times I have talked about this. And forced response. So natural responses are due to the initial condition, means when the external input is equal to 0, and forced response when we have 0 initial condition across resistor, inductor and capacitor, and after that I will apply some forcing function. So using Laplace transform, I am not going to distinguish between natural and forced response. It is possible to obtain the complete response of the circuit. So we begin with the definition of Laplace transform, which gives rise to its most essential properties. But before going to the definition, I will share some idea of the transform. So let us talk about the idea of transform, because if you understand the idea of transform, then it is very easy to understand or apply, or even if explore some new transformation in future for the different classes of problem or different, and for different subject, you are able to see that most of time people are using different transform. So let us try to understand the idea of transform. So we have already familiar with some kind of transform. So transformation is nothing but some kind of operation which will turn some kind of function or some kind of polynomial or some kind of, you can interpret as some kind of equations in another kind of equations, in another kind of matrices, in another kind of function, another kind of polynomial. And most fundamental transform you have learned so far, that is the differentiation, and integration. And if you see the very closely, then you found that basically somehow I have some domain and I have some kind of codomain. Whenever I am applying these kind of operation, that is either differentiation and integration, then I am giving some kind of input, and after that I am getting some kind of output. So this is my input and this is output, and somehow I have relation between input and output. So, and that is nothing but some kind of function. So these kind of operations, that is called differentiation or integration, that is nothing but some kind of linear function between input and output. So what happens that since this is linear function, and whenever something is linear, we have already seen that will satisfy the property of linearity. So these two operations also satisfy the property of linearity. So what I am going to write the following: these two transform process the linearity property. And we have already seen that if something will satisfy the linearity property, then automatically I will get lot of simplified beauty of that particular quantity, because if something is linear, then there is no need to worry too much about that. First I will apply some part of function, after that I will apply second part of function, and simply the combination is nothing but the addition of that two response. That is the beauty of the linearity property. And if you see, suppose that I have some function fx, and alpha time I am going to scale that function. Similarly, suppose that if I have some function gx and I am going to scale this by beta, and if I apply d by dx, so during calculus course you have already seen this kind of things, dou fx by dx plus beta dgx by dx. And if you remember the linearity property, at that time what we are telling that, suppose that if you have some system, then first you can apply fx and you can note their response. So suppose that if here I have some kind of operator, so suppose that if I have some operator like d by dx, then I am going to get in this side like dfx by dx. Now again I will take the same system, so whatever system I am going to take, that is going to do differentiation whenever I will apply some function. So behavior is like this, so that is dgx by dx. And finally if I will take the same system, that is d by dx, and if I will apply alpha fx and plus beta gx, where alpha and beta is some kind of real number or a scalar you can tell, then I will obtain f dfx by dx plus beta dgx by dx. So whenever I have something like differentiation, that will satisfy the linearity property. Similarly, same kind of result I can also obtain or talk in terms of the integral. So suppose that if I have this, and suppose fx and gx both are integrable function, so I am assuming that, otherwise I cannot perform the integral. So it is possible to show that will again satisfy linearity property. And due to linearity property, very much complicated integral or differential equation can be solved independently, and in order to obtain the complete differentiation and integration, finally I will add all things together. So that is the beauty of this kind of property. So in this chapter or in this part of this course, I am going to explore some kind of a special type of integral transform, and that particular integral transform is Laplace transform. And if I will tell that is integral transform, so automatically that will satisfy this kind of linearity property. And also we are going to see that some other property. So let us talk about the integral transform. And meaning of integral transform is, if I will give some quantity, then finally I'm getting something in form of integral. So I have some kind of integral transform, and we are going to preserve the property of linearity. That is our main aim. So let us first talk about the certain kind of integral transform. So I will take some kind of function with two variable. So suppose that I have some kind of function fxy, and that is 2xy square. So here you can see that this particular function has two variable. So I am going to talk about function of two variables, and now what I am going to do, I am going to hold one variable, and after that I am going to apply the transform with respect to integral transform, particularly with respect to another variable. So what I am telling, that suppose I have to do integral like this, 1 to 2 2xy square dx. So if you will solve this equation, so here you can see that whenever I am writing dx means I am holding variable y as a constant, then whatever expression I am going to get, that is in terms of the constant variable or holding variable, you can tell. So in this particular interpretation of this particular integration is that I am holding the variable y as a constant, and then that is the interpretation of this particular integral. Similarly, I can now define the more general integral of the two variable, and idea again is to hold one of the variable as a constant, then automatically I will get the final expression in terms of that holding variable. So now I am going to do this thing, that similarly this is a definite integral because I have lower limit as well as upper limit, such as, and I am going to define this like this. So k, and suppose I have now two variable, one variable is s and another variable is t, and suppose I have ft into dt, and this particular integral is going to transform a function f of the variable t into a function, and I am going to get some different function same like the previous example of the variable s. So if you see the previous example, so I have taken function 2x y square, and after that I am going to hold y, and after calculating this definite integral, whatever result I am going to get, that is not certainly the same function, some different function, but now the final expression in terms of the holding variable. So similarly, similar kind of idea I am going to generalize now. So suppose here in this particular definite integral, I have some function ft, so that is function of time. Now I am going to apply this kind of function, so multiply with some kind of function which has two variables, and after that I am going to take the definite integral with respect to the same variable of the function. So automatically whatever result I am going to get, that is different function, and now variable is going to change from t to whatever variable I have hold in this particular process. So somehow this transform or this integral transform, because I am going to do integration here, that will transform ft, so function from time domain to some other domain, that is called s domain, and later I will interpret s as a frequency. So I will tell that using this kind of operation I can transform time domain quantity into frequency domain, where s is nothing but the frequency domain. So let us write the remark. So main idea, so remark is like this: we are particularly interested in an integral transform where the interval of integration is the unbounded interval, and I am going to perform this integration from 0 to infinity, because I am going to deal with the engineering problem. So I am assuming that time ft, where t is interpreted as a time and time is only the positive. Due to that reason I am going to talk about the integration from 0 to infinity. So after that, if ft is defined for, not by, so defined for t greater than equal to 0, then the improper integral, that is from 0 to infinity k s t f t dt, is defined as a limit, and we are telling that because somehow I have to make sure that whatever integral transform I am going to do, so that will transform this s and t, function of s and t, into s. So in order to give this kind of guarantee, I have to make sure that whatever things I am going to do, that should be integrable. So due to that reason, we have written this kind of remark, and meaning of this remark is like this. So if I will do this kind of improper integral, then I am going to interpret that in form of limit. So meaning of this is like this. So I am going to make sure that if this function is integrable from 0 to b, and even if b tending towards infinity, I am going to get some kind of result from this. And now some case this limit will exist, in some case this particular integral is not exist. So for that I have two different kind of situation. So in first situation, you can give some number to this particular equation. So if the limit 1 exists, then we say that the integral exists or is convergent if the limit does not exist, the integral does not exist, and it is called divergent. And it is possible to show that limit of 1 will in general exist only for certain particular value of s. We are going to explore that when this limit will exist, when this limit is not exist. So now in this process, what we have observed that if I have some function ft, then we are first going to multiply that function with some kind of other function with two variables, and this function has certain special name. So I am going to write that. So I am going to write again that kind of things as a remark. So in equation 1, the function KST in equation 1 is called the kernel of the transform. Now you can see that here, if I have certain function ft, then I have infinite many way to select this kernel. But during this selection, somehow I have to make sure that whatever integral that it comes into picture, that is going to converge. That is one of the most important criteria. Otherwise, there is no meaning of the selection of kernel. Since choices of the KST is not unique, so now we are able to understand that in infinite many way I can create the integral transform. And if you see the literature, then I have different choices of the transformation, and idea is very simple. So whenever you have function of one variable, then you can multiply with function of two variables, do some integration, and after that it is possible to show that that particular variable is going to convert into the in terms of holding variable, and somehow in transform domain whatever result I am getting, that has several simplified property. So in this particular course I am going to choose the KST means kernel in some very specific way, and that will gives us very important transform, that is called Laplace transform. So let us try to now summarize that transform. So the choice KST equal to e power minus st as the kernel gives us an especially important integral transform. So now you can see that I have selected e power minus st, and obviously now you can select different, and if you see the literature, then people are selecting this kind of kernel in different way. So perhaps now you are able to understand the idea, but now let us talk why I have selected e power minus st. So there are several beautiful property in this selection. So Laplace again have seen this kind of transformation, and after that what he found, that if I will define KST in this way, because this is exponentially decaying function, so if you multiply this function with large class of function, then it is possible to show that whatever integral that is going to converge. But this is not always true, but some large class of system it is possible to show. Due to that reason, perhaps he has selected this kind of exponential function. And exponential function is quite natural, because we have already observed that whenever we are solving some kind of linear differential equation, exponential function comes into picture. Whenever I have certain kind of sine wave, cosine wave, I can express that in terms of exponent. So lot of place exponential kind of things are very, very common, either that is increasing or decaying. So due to that reason, I think that they have guessed this kind of function. So once you can fix the kernel, now I have a special, very, very special definition. So I am going to write that, and this is the definition of the Laplace transform. So I have now Laplace transform, and definition is like this. So I am going to first write the mathematical definition, and after that I will again discuss some more about this definition. So let f be a function defined for t greater than equal to 0, then the integral, and I am going to denote Laplace transform like this: ft, and that is 0 to infinity e power minus st ft into dt is said to be the Laplace transform of f, and this always not called Laplace transform. This will called Laplace transform only provided that the integral converges. So this is the very much important restriction, that any integral of this form I cannot interpret as a Laplace transform. I can only interpret this particular transform as a Laplace transform when it is possible to give guarantee that the integral will converge. If we are unable to give, then I cannot interpret that as a Laplace transform. Now let us come to the engineering problem, because this is the mathematical motivation, mathematical definition. So till now what we have observed, that same like differentiation and integral that will satisfy the linearity property, I have another kind of transform, and we are hoping that that will also again satisfy the linearity property. And in the later part of this course I will prove that this Laplace transform will satisfy the linearity property. And after that, what is beauty of this transform? That it will convert function from one domain to another domain. So now I have to interpret that domain for our engineering problem. So now let us discuss that for our purpose. This is for mathematical point of view. So What we are telling that you can write in form of remark only, because this is the main definition. So given a function ft, its Laplace transform, and I am going to denote the Laplace transform by Fs, and you have already seen the motivation, because I am going to hold the function s. Due to that reason, whatever resultant function, that is nothing but in form of s, and you can also write in this form, that doesn't matter, is defined by. Now I am going to do certain kind of modification in the previous mathematical definition. So our definition is now that will looks like this for the circuit application. I am going to write lower limit. Here you can see that I am modifying the lower limit, and I am writing lower limit as a 0 minus, and I will tell you the motivation of using 0 minus. So main motivation is that somehow I have to include the origin, because most of time in engineering circuit particularly we have seen in the step response in first part of this course, that is DC step response. At that time I am closing the switch at t equal to 0. So I am closing the switch at t equal to 0 minus, and after that we are seeing the response for t greater than equal to 0. So somehow at 0 we have certain kind of discontinuity. So in order to capture that kind of discontinuity, I am going to modify the Laplace transform like this, and again this is only satisfy the property of Laplace transform provided this integral is going to converge. So that I am not going to compromise that kind of property. So here you can just first I will talk about the interpretation of S, and after that I will write the remark about 0 minus. So here for our purpose S is a complex variable given by S equal to sigma plus j omega. So if you see the proper mathematical definition, then I have no restriction on S, but here I can select some specific value of S, and I am going to select that S from the complex domain. So meaning of complex domain is like this. So I have two axes. So this is real axis of S, and this is the imaginary axis of S. So I am going to take S from this particular complex plane, and after that I am going to perform this kind of integral. And if you see the dimension of S, since dimension of time is second, so dimension of S is 1 by t, or inverse of second, and inverse of second, because exponential function I have to make as a dimensionless. So if I select time has some dimension in term of second, then I have to select s is 1 by second. So automatically s is nothing but the frequency. So s is interpreted as a frequency, and this is because exponential function, I am exp, using exp I am denoting, must be dimensionless. So this is the reason dimensionless. So due to that reason, we are telling that now whatever integral I am going to get, that is converting time domain to the frequency domain. Now let us talk about the 0 minus. So we have already seen that. So I am going to write same kind of thing such that you can understand the modification. So we use 0 minus as the lower limit to include the origin and capture any discontinuity of ft at t equal to 0, because in engineering problem we have this kind of situation. This will accommodate functions, and we have already talked about the singularity function, and we have defined singularity function as those class of function which is either discontinuous or their derivative or are discontinuous functions that may be discontinuous at t equal to 0. So somehow I am now give the proper physical interpretation of the modified Laplace transform, whatever I have written in form of remark. So here I have defined s as a complex variable. So basically if you see the physical interpretation, so let us write the physical interpretation. So basically I am telling the Laplace transform is an integral transformation for our purpose of a function ft from the time domain into the complex frequency domain, giving fs. So in this way we are interpreting. So same like phasor we are going to interpret that as a transformation from one domain to the another domain, and later we will see some more property of or some more beauty of this particular transformation. So before closing the class, since you have already learned these kind of things during your mathematics course, but I have just talked about the modification. One more modification you may have seen from the mathematics course, that in mathematics course we are also allowing variable to or time, if you interpret t as a time or some variable that is from minus infinity to plus infinity, so that is called two-sided Laplace transform. But most of time whenever we are solving engineering problem, since our time is going to start from the 0 onward, we are talking about positive time, so we are not considering means limit of integral from minus infinity to plus infinity. That is the simple reason. So before closing the today's lecture, I am going to talk about the Laplace transform of some function. So as a example, so let us talk about some example, and after that I will close the today's class. So I am going to talk about the example. So now suppose that I have to calculate the Laplace transform of unit step function. So Laplace transform of unit step function, and I am denoting, we have already defined what is meaning of unit step function. So basically I am talking like this. So Laplace transform of unit step function. So I have to do integration from 0 minus to infinity, and so function is like this dt, and I have, if you solve this integral, then I will get like this, and after that I have to do integration from 0 to infinity. So that is 1 by s 0 and plus 1 by s into 1, and after that I will get. So this is the Laplace transform of unit step function. Similarly, I can also calculate the Laplace transform of some other function like impulse function. So I am going to talk about the second example, where I am going to talk about the Laplace transform of unit impulse function, and unit impulse function we are denoting by delta. So that is delta t, and 0 minus to infinity, and delta t into e power minus st into dt, and we know that delta function is only defined at the 0, so just you can substitute 0 here, so that is equal to 1. And suppose that if I have to calculate the third example, whatever example I am basically making here, that is useful for the circuit application. So suppose I have some kind of exponential function, and I am going to denote that exponential function by e power minus at, and ut is the unit step function, and a greater than equal to 0. Again, motivation to multiply with ut is that I am going to just consider something from t equal to 0 to infinity. So if you calculate the Laplace transform, that is e power minus at into ut, so again I have to do integration from 0 minus to infinity. So e power minus at, e power minus st and dt, and if you solve, then solution is not so difficult. So this is 1 by s plus a. Similarly, I can also calculate the Laplace transform of some kind of sinusoidal function, because in AC circuits, what we have observed that most of time whatever signal I am taking, that is either in form of sine or cosine. So I can also calculate the Laplace transform of sine omega t, and in order to denote the positive time, I am going to multiply with ut. So I can also write this is nothing but 0 to infinity sine omega t e power minus st into dt, and after that obviously I will express sine omega t in form is like this: e power j omega t and e power minus j omega t by 2j. We have already seen this kind of things, so now I am not going to talk much about this. I am just going to write the direct result. So if you will simplify this, then I will get this minus 1 by s plus j omega. So basically I have omega plus s square plus omega. So with these numerical examples, I am going to close the today's class, and in next class I am going to talk about the sufficient condition to the existence of the Laplace transform, because during the integral transform, discussion of integral transform, what we have found that for the different selection of kernel, sometime integral will exist, sometime that is not going to exist. So I have selected kernel as a e power minus st. After selection of this particular kernel, again there exists certain kind of restriction on s, then only I can give guarantee that this kind of transform, that is called Laplace transform, if kernel is e power minus st, that is going to means integral is going to exist. So in order to see that under which condition, or at least we can able to give some kind of possibility that when this particular integral is going to converge. So for that, next class I am going to talk about the sufficient conditions for the existence of the Laplace transform. So with this discussion, I am going to close the today's class.